Hello. Last time we looked into Voiceflow API for managing our knowledge base, tagging it, and also querying it. So let's just recap what we already have. We have two tags, exterior doors and interior doors. We also have in our knowledge base two files, exterior door file, interior door file, and they both are tagged with corresponding tags. And we also looked into how we can query our knowledge base and use tags to get the information from certain files in our knowledge base and not from all of the files. Now, what we will do is we will try to move this custom querying via API to our chatbot in Voiceflow. So in here, I already have built the functionality to query interior doors file using Voiceflow Knowledge API. The setup is the same we had before. So we have two flows, interior doors, exterior doors, and the difference, as you see, like before we had like knowledge base querying done like this, and the new setup for the interior doors looks like this. We have this API call step, and in this step, we are calling the knowledge base API endpoint. We are using our authentication key, and we also passing information that is needed for querying knowledge base. And once we get the response, we save the response to the knowledge base response variable. We can test how it works with the interior doors. And then what I will do, I will show you how to build this functionality from scratch for the exterior doors. Interior doors, what would you like to know? What types of doors do you have? And we see it called the API and it returned the response. So there is nothing else you want to ask. Now let's try to rebuild this functionality. So first, we no longer need this block. We'll move this here. Then what we're gonna do, we will add a new API step. And in here, we will go to the Voiceflow reference. We will find the knowledge base querying API. We copy this endpoint. We paste it as a URL. We also select the post method because as it's written in the API, we need to use the post method. So next thing, we will need authorization header. So we will add this authorization header, and we will also need to get our API key. So we can get the key from here, copy the key, we go back, we add the value. Now, the other thing that we need to add is this content type. Without it, you might be getting some unexpected errors. Okay. So it's very strange why it doesn't copy it. Let's see. Okay. And then we need to have this value. So it basically will tell that this request is of a JSON type. Now, the next thing we need to add is body parameters. For that, we will just use the raw type, and we will basically copy paste what we already have, and we'll do some changes. So in here, for the question, we will use the last utterance. This is how you pass the variable value into the raw format of the API call. So chunk limit 2, it's enough for us. For the sake of this example, let's use a different model. So let's use the cloud instant one. This will also illustrate this new capability of being able to use different models for different steps. In fact, like, we could modify everything what we have, the temperature, the system things, but we will not be doing that. The one more thing that we need to do is go to, I'll basically select the tag for exterior doors, and when querying for the answer, we will use only knowledge base files that are tagged with this tag. And that's pretty much it. The only thing that we need to do is capture the response. But before that, let's just send the request to see. As you can see, because we use the variable, it asks to set the value. So this will be our question. Let's generate, and if everything works fine, we get the answer. Now, as you can see, we get the chunk values, we get this additional information, we get the information about the tokens used, and the answer is in the output parameter. So we'll say that for the response, use the output and set this value to knowledge base response variable. And that should be more or less what we need to do. Now, the next thing, we need to display the answer. And it will be as simple as doing this. And in case something went wrong, we will just display this message. Obviously, for the production environment where like you're using your chatbot in the production, what you would like to do, you would like to log all those errors into some kind of external system. It could even be as simple as Google Sheets, or anything as sophisticated as an external logging system. But for this example, it's enough to just say, sorry, I didn't get that. Can you rephrase the question? And we direct it to the beginning of the exterior doors flow. And once we have the response, we'll say, is there more questions? Do you like to know anything else? That's more or less it. Now we can test the functionality, run test, exterior doors. And yeah, this is how you extend the Voiceflow UI and leverage all the API capability and functionality that Voiceflow gives you. And now you have a lot more control of how you use the knowledge base, what kind of knowledge base files you are querying for the certain answers, what kind of prompts are you using. You are no longer bound by the so-called wrapper prompts that I think Voiceflow applies for the usual knowledge base responses. You have more power over the knowledge bases, how you use, what kind of LLMs you use for generating the answer. In fact, like you could even just instead of generating the answer, you could just get the chunks from the Voiceflow. And if you have some kind of other large language model that Voiceflow does not support, you could potentially send those chunks as a part of a prompt to this third-party large language model, get the answer and display the answer. And everything can be done inside the Voiceflow. See you next time.